friends, my name is Jo. Welcome back to my bookish corner. Today we are going to draw my July TBR out of my TBR jar, and I think do just a quick little June recap. So grab a drink, get cozy, and let's talk books! Cheers. My drink of choice today is a Coke with some half and half, which I tried for the first time this month, and delicious. I don't know why it works. I know lots of people do it. I don't know what the flavor nuances are that make half and half work with Coke, but it's so yummy. Also, summer vibes with this cup. Anyway, welcome to my July TBR video. I did decide that I wanted to do a quick little June recap before we get started with the July books. So, first thing, in June, I finished my book goal for the year, which, yay me, but also totally unexpected. We're only halfway through the year. I set my book goal at 52 because last year I think I read about 50 or 54 or something like that. Really close to 52, so I thought it would be easy, one book a week, set it at 52 and call it good. I have hit that. I have surpassed that now, so I am not sure. I guess that means that my goal was a little too easy. I wasn't sure what it would look like with school semesters and that kind of thing, so definitely have been reading a lot this summer, and I think that's what pushed me over the edge with the goal. But I guess now my goal is just going to be to try to double that since I did that in half the year, so maybe we'll go for 100 books. Some June favorites, absolutely the Coke and half and half. It feels a little less heavy than a full latte. Even an iced latte, sometimes that amount of milk just feels like a lot. So the Coke and with a touch of half and half feels a little less heavy than a full latte, and I think that's really nice for summer. But you're still getting the caffeine and that kind of thing. Since I'm not really a matcha girly, feels like a good in-between. Other than that, I have really been loving press-on nails in June. I actually only wore one set, but they lasted for 2.5 weeks, which was really unexpected. I've been letting my nails sit for a little bit since then, just so that I don't overdo it and damage them. But I think I'm gonna put another set on for July because I think it's just so fun. Farmers markets have officially started in our town, and our farmers market, not to brag, but it is such a good farmers market. And I've heard from people who lived here and then moved away that they miss the farmers market. It's so good. So we have gone to the farmers market multiple times. It's so much fun. I love it. That has been a great part of June, and it's gonna be a great part of July. And then the last thing that I have been obsessed with in June is Jon Bellion's new album, Father Figure. It doesn't necessarily feel like a summer album because it's a little more moody, I would say. He definitely went through some life circumstances and matured a lot over the last 6-7 years of silence, where he's been producing songs but he hasn't released his own music. So it's definitely not as much fun vibe as 80s films or something like that, but it's still been super fun to listen to, and I love his music, I love his style, so I have been listening to Father Figure on repeat this month and probably will continue to listen to Father Figure on repeat in July. We are going to do a quick recap of what I read in June. I'm just going to go through and give you the star rating and then a quick little note on why I gave it that star rating. Nothing too in-depth. I have videos reading most of those books, and so if you want to see my in-depth thoughts on them, feel free to go back and find those videos. We'll start with what I picked from my TBR jar, and then there were a couple additional books in June that I picked up and happened to read, so we'll go through those as well. I started with Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell, and there is not a rating on this book because I DNF'd it 5 chapters in. I did talk about this in a video. Basically, it made me really uncomfortable and I didn't want to keep reading it. I didn't want to take the time that I had to read on this book. So if you want more in-depth thoughts, this is in a video that I posted a few weeks ago. Second, I read The Sea Wolf by Jack London, and this one I gave 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. It was very interesting and really a change of pace for me from what I usually read. Then I tried reading A Northern Light by Jennifer Donnelly. This is actually my second time trying to read this book. I did DNF this one as well. I got about a third of the way through, I think, and was just really bored, wasn't feeling it, and decided to switch over to something else. Next, I read Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funk. This one I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was very cute. It's a children's fantasy and just cute, fun read. Then I read Una Out of Order by Margarita Montemor. This one was also 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was fun, a bit of a unique concept, but just not really my style, I think. Then I read The Glass Sentence by S.E. Grove. This one was also 3.5 out of 5 stars. Also a children's fantasy book. Interesting for sure, but I felt like they fell short of what they could have accomplished with the concept that they had. That was everything on my June TBR that I pulled from the TBR jar. The rest were things that came up throughout the month because I finished the TBR about halfway through the month, so I was free to just read whatever I wanted. So first we had our book club book, which was The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I think this was my highest rated book of the month. This was 4.5 stars out of 5 for me. The only reason it wasn't 5 stars was because the ending felt a little rushed. But I thought this was really interesting. I really enjoyed the concept. I really enjoyed the relationship in here. It felt very sweet and was really different from a lot of the relationships that I think you find in contemporary books these days. So I really enjoyed this one. Definitely recommend. Then I was feeling a little bit nostalgic for a series that I read probably in middle school, I think, and I do own all of them, and they are one of my favorites to this day. So I started rereading Ranger's Apprentice, and I got through 1 through 6 of the series. There are 10 books that I will read. There is another book, I think, in the series, or maybe 2 or 3 more, but I stopped because I don't like what he did in the book after 10, and it came after the rest of the series was finished a few years later. So I love these books. The first one doesn't rank as high for me because it's a lot of world building and meeting characters, but the further you get in, the better they are, and the more you love the people and the characters and all of it. So love these books, will always love them. That's all I have to say about The Ranger's Apprentice by John Flanagan. And then the last book that I have to talk about from this month, The Maui Effect by Sarah Ackerman. I love the idea of the blind date with a book. It was very cute. It was cutely wrapped, came with some stickers, came with some tabs. If you can see, I tabbed about halfway through the book and then stopped. I don't usually tab. I thought it would be fun. This was a 1 out of 5 stars for me, and it only got 1 star because it had the environmental activism. Maui Effect was a little bit of a flop for me, but I will be giving the contemporary romance genre another try at some point. That is everything that I read in June, so that's my little June recap for the video. And now we're gonna pick my July TBR. I am gonna start the July TBR off with 2 books that I know I will be reading in July. First, I have our July book club book, The Magician's Daughter by H.G. Perry, and I already read the summary for this because we were picking it, so I will share that with you guys. Otherwise, I'm going to try to avoid reading summaries and be surprised by the books. This is about a young woman caught between 2 worlds in a spellbinding tale of miracles, magic, and an island that might have been. Off the coast of Ireland sits a legendary island hidden by magic, a place of ruins and ancient trees, sea salt air, and fairy lore. Hybrazel is the only home Biddy has ever known. Washed up on its shore as a baby, Biddy lives a quiet life with her guardian, the mercurial magician Rowan, a life she finds increasingly stifling. One night, Rowan fails to return from his mysterious travels, and to find him, Biddy must venture into the outside world for the first time. But Rowan has powerful enemies, forces who have hoarded the world's magic and have set their sights on the magician's many secrets. Biddy may be the key to stopping them, yet the closer she gets to answers, the more she questions everything she's ever believed about Rowan, her past, and the nature of magic itself. So, this sounds kind of adventurous, magic. I'm excited, I'm ready to read this. The second book that I know I will be reading in July was actually a gift from Cam. It's called The Summer Book by Tove Jansson. I decided that I'm probably going to read this 4th of July weekend because, you know, we have red, white, blue, and we're going to be away for the 4th of July weekend, so it feels like it'll just be perfect. Like, this will be my little 4th of July themed book. I also read the back of this when he gave it to me because I'd never heard of it before and I wasn't sure how he found it, so I was really curious. So this is about a 6-year-old girl and her grandmother. And let's see, it says, this brief novel tells the story of Sophia, a 6-year-old girl awakening to existence, and Sophia's grandmother, nearing the end of hers, as they spend the summer on a tiny, unspoiled island in the Gulf of Finland. So it kind of just seems like a sweet summer read. So those are the 2 that I already know I will be reading in July. And now we're gonna pick 6 more from my TBR jar. So these are books that I already own, they're on my shelves, and I'm just trying to read through all the books on my shelves. So I've decided to put them all in a TBR jar, and it's gonna tell me what to read every month. I've decided to go with 6 because last month I did definitely read more than that, but 6 didn't feel overwhelming. And I finished it, so I think I'm gonna stick with that number for now, and we'll see how that adjusts as we go. Since I have these 2, I'm already kind of at 8, so we'll stick with pulling 6 from the jar. First pick for the month of July . The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle. I have no idea what that is. Book 2. The End of the World by Colin Foreman. Book 3. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. I don't actually know if that's how you say it. I have tried reading this book before, so we'll see if I can get through it this month. That is the start of a trilogy, so if I do get through book 1, I might try to read the other 2. We will see. Book 4. Is that the right side up? I can't tell. Wonder by R.J. Palacio? That's my bad. I really need to learn how to pronounce people's names. I have read Wonder before, but that was a gift from my aunt a long time ago. I read it when I got it, and I would be absolutely happy to read it again. Book 5. Oh. Oh. There we go. The Red Necklace by Sally Gardner. And our last book for July Long Shot by Mark Ammerman. This is quite the collection again. Okay, we're gonna go grab these off of the shelf and then we'll talk a little bit about them. Our books here. First we have The Story of King Arthur and His Knights by Howard Pyle. Aside from it being about King Arthur, I have no context on this book. I know nothing about it, so we'll see. Yeah, we'll find out, I guess. Then we have Wonder, and like I said, I have read Wonder before. It's such a good book. I think maybe it's classified as children's, but it's about a little boy and his family and his journey, I think, as he starts a new school. I read this a really long time ago, so I don't remember much more about it than that. Then we have The Red Necklace by Sally Gardner. I don't know anything about this, but I did just open to the title page, and it says A Story of the French Revolution. So I'm wondering if this is maybe some historical fiction. Then we have Long Shot by Mark Ammerman, which actually it says it's part of the Cross and the Tomahawk series, and I'm not sure if this is book 1 or not. Anyway, I'll have to look and see if this is book 1 or not. Then we have The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I had heard about, saw at Goodwill, and ended up getting it. This I know is a little bit of a mystery, but even though I read the beginning of it, I honestly don't remember enough to be able to describe it, so I'm not entirely sure what this is about, but I remember there's some mystery to it. So we'll see a little bit about this one, see if I can get through it this time. I think it was just a lot for the stage of life I was in when I started it. I think it was too complicated for me to maintain while I was trying to keep track of other things. So hopefully, since we're in summer and I have less going on, I will be able to get through this time. And last but not least, we have To the End of the World by Colin Foreman, which I do have book 2 in this, but I'm not sure how long the series is. I also don't know anything about this book. This I got from a friend when he moved. So I have never read this. I have never heard of this. The back says, a sudden snowstorm, a mysterious man, and an ancient adventure story changed the lives of 3 children forever. Ancient, secret dangers come to life, and a battle for the future of the world begins in this thrilling fantasy debut. So it sounds like it's maybe children's fantasy? Children are the main characters? I'm not entirely sure, but I'm excited to read it. It looks very interesting. It looks very fun, and I'm ready for some fun. That concludes my July TBR. I'm so excited to get started reading. I have no idea which one I'm going to start with. I am currently on book 7 of 10 of Ranger's Apprentice, so I will probably finish that in July as well, unless I finish it. I'm filming this June 27th, so I have a few more days left in June, and maybe I'll finish Ranger's Apprentice before June is done. We'll see. But regardless, thank you for coming along. Let me know what you're going to be reading in July in the comments below. Let me know if you think there's anything based on what we've discussed that I should try reading. Anyway, thanks for coming along. Thanks for listening to me yap about books for a little bit, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.